Good morning, good people. This is another episode of our daily workshop stuff. It's not very daily, but as soon as I got some progress. I'm not gonna record a video every day when there's no progress to show. Even in this case, there's not much to show, but there is some. Sometimes there's not much progress because I've been working on the stuff that is not much to see, but still job to do. And this week there has been quite a lot. So let me show you. You already seen the exhaust, and I'm gonna show you again because that's in the previous video. You've seen the turbo fitted with the exhaust. You've seen the charge cooler fitted as well. The mount has been refined, so the charge cooler definitely gonna be here. Everything is sorted out. There's a space for everything, so that is confirmed. I can confirm the fittings from the back to the front of the body as well has been all sorted out, all nice with the temperature sensor and all the stuff fitted into it, so everything has been done and sorted. Now the progress has been pretty much on the wastegate, because we fitted the wastegate in position, which is very tight on this exhaust manifold. A bit awkward, but everything is done. Nice, and as a screamer fitted goes around the CV joint. I've opted to go how can I show you? It's awkward to put the phone in there. Maybe this way you can see it. So I could have gone straight with this pipe down there, but then those pipes, they go hot. They would go on the top of that rubber boot, CV joint boot. And if I had the choice to make a pipe going on the top of the metal part, like what it is now, and top there, I would rather go in this way. It should probably be fine over the rubber boot as well, because there's not so much heat to melt that or to make any damage. But there's a choice to make it this way or this way. I would rather do it safer way. Why not? And plus it looks cooler as well, so why not? Okay, so this is done. Let me show you the biggest of the progress, which is almost finished on this car. This is called induction to the turbo. I'm waiting for the silicone joiner and reducer at 45 degree from here, obviously, to roughly here, because I need to connect it to this pipe here. And if you know MR2s, they have something similar originally. It's not as good, is nowhere near as good, but the concept is there. So what we used to do, we used to put the air filters, in those vents. We had one air filter, was in that vent with my 1.9 TDI. Then Steve had one over there, and it was decent, it was okay. Then I put them over there where the charge cooler is underneath, because, as you know, the MR2s, they have these big vents on here, and we always thought that they actually bring a pretty good amount of fresh air inside the engine bay. So the air filter being positioned there, it actually has a good supply of fresh air, which is quite important, especially when the engine is turbo, so all the temperatures are fairly high. Not like NA engines. So because compressor obviously heats everything out, that's why you got the charge coolers, intake coolers, blah blah, all that stuff. So last week, Steve put the video up with us testing all the crazy stuff. We've done a lot of different combinations of tests of all the stuff combined together, extracting the hot air out of the engine bay, bringing the air in, bringing the air into the the intercooler, getting that air out, single modes, all the stuff combined. But one thing that made a huge difference, that made everything working even better. So all the modes we've done, from ducting the fresh air from the top of the lid to the intercooler, extracting that air to the intercooler, separating the hot air of the engine bay from the intercooler core and all that stuff. This little mod made everything more sensitive to everything, made everything work much better, because before it was like, okay, there's improvement, but all those improvements were much bigger, and we actually seen the results I was expecting, or even better, once we fitted the air filter outside the engine bay. Because those vents, turns out, they do very little. and they're supposed to do a lot, but they don't. And I wasn't expecting this. So, air filter, MAF sensor housing, and let me point this one. This is a BAM style MAF sensor housing. The 185 brake horsepower engines, they have the smaller diameter ones. But we work with the BAM style engines and these ones, and they actually have 80 mm diameter. Now the KN filter, oval filter we use, is actually a 3 inch. 3 inch is 76. As for the 45-degree silicone joiner is only 76, but both of them they fit 80 mm. It's only 2 mm each side stretch, and even the reinforced silicone ones they stretch no problem, so no worries over there. Obviously the sensor itself is not fitted here, but once you fit it you got the plug, and that plug actually doesn't need to be modified as a wiring goes, because my wiring is actually this. Is here, goes from the ECU, from inside the car to the engine bay, and the MAF sensor wiring actually reaches here, so that's not a problem, and it fits great. Now all the plastics, all the trims fits on top of this. Yes, you do have to remove the side wind, the quarter panel, but the beauty on these cars is that all the panels are actually bolted on. There's no drilling, there's no cutting anything, everything is bolted on. So you remove the quarter, you remove this bracket here because it's there, it's only for spot welds, and there's your cold induction. Now everything fits perfectly, there's no need of any modifications. This bend clears the headlamp, clears everything, there's no need to move any wires, no need to chop or trim anything, just fits. Now on this side actually I've decided to finish it there, because from here I'm actually free to modify the design from this pipe to the turbo, because in this case this turbo compressor, obviously it is what it is. Usually what you have is this setup, because we're working on a KO4 setup, so this exhaust manifold and this turbo, this is KO4, this is KO3. We don't work with them anymore because, well, there's no point really, because they are not as good, and most people use these, so I'm doing all the development with this turbo setup. The turbo is in a slightly different position, not by much, but it is. So, but as you can see, the turbo position and the turbo compressor is significantly smaller. You know, there you go. Let me show you that one again. There's a slight difference. This is slightly bigger. That one there I think is 225 inch or 2 inch. This is 4 inch, so it's slightly bigger. But again, it regardless of the turbo position, of the compressor size and anything, this slide part, this small, the pipe that is going to go from here to the turbo, I make it in the same way that I make my exhaust systems. Now the exhaust, as you can see it, so you know the back box, the tailpipe, and the catalytic converter, which is here to fit it on, and the flexi, the lambda sensor fitment, and everything stays the same. One thing that changes, it changes the downpipe, because obviously the turbo position is slightly different. For example, in this case, this pipe goes around that strut, which is a bit of trimming there, and goes around here. The KO4 system, the pipe, because the turbo housing is here, is much closer to the left side of the gearbox. I have a space to make a nice smooth bend, 90 degree, and actually come over on the bottom of this. So that's the only thing changes. The main components of the exhaust stays the same, just the downpipe matches the turbo position, if the turbo system is different than the KO4. And the same comes from here. This is going to be all the same for all of them, but if the turbo is different, this last part is going to be different as the exhaust. And like I said, KO4 setup, so the standard engine with the standard KO4 setup, everything is available on the shelf. I can build everything here, sanded. I think we're getting closer. I think from next week, end of next week, we should have majority of the stuff ready on the shelf to sell and to send, because so far is you order the stuff because I'm very busy. You order the stuff, and most of the stuff I still have to build it for you. Some of the stuff is on the shelf, but not everything. End of next week, we should have everything on the shelf ready to sell. So if you want to buy something, you want to order the stuff, should be ready to be sent the same day or day after. That's the goal. However, like in this case, if you decide that you want a bigger turbo for more power, you don't want 280 brakes, you want 350, 400, 500, 600, whatever. Using different turbo with a different manifold, like this customer sent us the exhaust manifold, sent us the turbo using, I put it on a dummy engine, in the dummy chassis, and I built a custom setup, like I did on this, for very little extra cost. By extra cost, I mean, in this case, for example, I had to use a little more stainless, couple of more bends, okay? So that's an expense. It took me maybe 2-3 hours longer. I'm probably gonna charge only 1 hour longer for the label, extra label, and just for the material extra. So to having a completely custom built for you to match obviously the standard setup, it costs very little more. Same is gonna be with the intake, same is gonna be with the compressor going into the charge cooler or the intercooler. But I think at the end, everyone is gonna go for the charge cooler. I mean, this came up so good. I mean, don't take me wrong, the intercooler, we made it working really good at the end. We're really happy with the results, but it's not everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone wants to chop the rear bumper. I guess most people want to get stealthy, wants to have something be more hidden, and plus this works really, really good, you know. It's a great fitment and all that stuff. So I'm expecting that we're gonna have 9 orders on 10 with the charge cooler instead of the intercooler. Intercooler, maybe yes, because of the simplicity of it works. You know, it doesn't need a water pump, it doesn't need the extra radiator, but it's a bit more complex as a fitment. It's bigger, it's bulkier, it needs shrouds to work, and you know, cutting the rear bumper. So again, I don't know, we're gonna see, we'll see. However, this setup is pretty much done for the customer. I'm just waiting for that, again, silicone joiner, and then we're good to take everything off and send it back to the customer. And then next one. So more progress next week. I will see you, next week. Probably next week. Tomorrow is not going to be much progress to show, so next week. See you soon.